The Cape Coast University has resumed academic work today following its suspension yesterday as a result of flooding. Hours of heavy downpour left the entire university extensively flooded. Academic work was called off to avert any casualty. A statement released by the university this morning indicates that studies are resuming today, barring any unforeseen circumstances. My colleague Richard Kojonyako joins us with the latest on the floods from the University of Cape Coast and the township itself. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
Richard, so has the flood water receded both in town and at the university this morning?
Well, so the flood waters are gradually receding from the university campus. Let's start with the university campus. It's gradually receding. You know that the University of Campus, where it is located topographically, it serves as a path or the water course for the water flow from high grounds into the sea. And this situation occurs anytime there is torrential rainfall. There is also a dam upstream. And so whenever it rains and the dam is full, it opens up and then it flows through the University of Cape Coast. They have some big drainage there that the water passed through. But yesterday it got full, and then that's why there was a spillage all over the campus. So from the university old side to the university new side, the students couldn't cross, or the lecturers also couldn't even cross to the other side. The students were trapped in their hostels and then their halls. And that is why the university issued a statement yesterday to avert any unfortunate occurrence. Students should remain in their hostels and their halls of residence. But around the university campus, it also got flooded. Yesterday in the evening, people were seen moving their belongings, their personal belongings, to places they could put up during the night. Some of them have even vacated their rooms and places temporarily. They say that they will return when the things are normal. In the Cape Coast metropolitan area, for example, because of the pumping that was done out of the street, the traffic flow, was also successful. In the morning, commuters using the Abra Paydu at this federal area had a tough time meandering their way through to get to their destination, and that is why schools couldn't even be in session effectively. Some of the school authorities had to even announce that they should not bother to even bring their students there. Some lands were also submerged very close to Elmina. You get at Tonkwa, the people were cut away from or cut out from where they are, their Tonkwa community, to Elmina, where they usually come and then they do their businesses. At Abuna Swedro and its environs, the Aqua River also was full up, and so it opened up and the entire place got flooded. This morning they are trying to salvage whatever they will find out of what happened yesterday. So that is the current situation as it stands now.
Richard, now this morning on the Super Morning Show, we had quite a few texters send in messages and say that a lot of the gutters and the drainage system at the university was choked with rubbish. Are you able to confirm this for us?
Yes, partly. Not because they dragged the gutters and the drainage some time ago, but in recent times I've not seen that dredging. You know what people do when it starts raining? They pour their garbage into these bigger drains. And so when it rains, it chokes. Even close to the university, where the university shares borders with the adjoining communities, Amamoma, there is this heap rubbish dump that they put the waste collecting bin there. It gets full, and then it's an eyesore whenever it rains. Even if it hasn't rained, it's really an eyesore to see that situation is happening at a university of a worldwide acclaim like the University of Cape Coast. People have had cause to complain, but the situation hasn't changed.
Well, another area which was heavily flooded was Swedro. What's the current situation there?
Well, the NADMO officials are in touch, but as usual, and as the usual chorus sounds, they do not have the capacity to deal with the huge happenings that occurred yesterday, and that has also even entered the second day. People are seen, drying their papers, their mattresses, and other things. Some of the schools got flooded, and so this morning the students and the teachers had to have a tough time getting the water out of the classrooms in order for academic work to resume. So NADMO officials are on the ground. They say that they are assessing the extent of damage. They've already sent messages to the regional outfit and the national outfit to come to their aid. It's surprising to know that even at a regional level, the NADMO office had only one pumping machine. That is the only equipment they had. So in terms of flooding, it would be very, very difficult for them to go around solving that kind of flood.
Well, speaking of NADMO, Regional Director of NADMO, Joe Donko, told JoyNews that their preliminary assessment of the situation revealed that the floods were caused by choked drains, particularly the University of Cape Coast. He urged all to work towards averting future recurrence.
We started going around 4 a.m. this morning, and what we really discovered is that most of our gutters are choked, really choked, either filled with sand or weed. I think it's lack of maintenance, especially UCC. So we just pray that during those olden days, we have these PWD council workers that take care of all these gutters on the highways and the streets and the one in town. But now, no. Zoom line only sweep on the high street, and sometimes even what they sweep, they put it in the gutters. So we pray, trying to get in touch with the authorities involved through this MCE and the regional minister to see that at least we'll gather people to do that job, to make sure that these gutters are. From 2015 up to date, you can discover that most of the houses that are being built, they are very beautiful houses, but there's no building plan. They don't go for building plans. So because of that, the town planning engineers don't supervise the building of the houses. They build houses without gutters. They build houses without good foundation. And you can see that they are all nice houses. So this thing, because there is no gutters, when there is heavy downpour, there is nowhere the water will pass to the major gutters or this thing. The whole place is, you see, most of the disasters or most of these things happening are caused by the citizens ourselves.
In response, though, the University of Cape Coast has been dismissing NADMO's assessment of the cause of yesterday's floods on campus. Joining us live on the phone is the Director of Public Affairs of UCC, Major Kofi Bentum. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And so you disagree with NADMO over having choked gutters on campus. Why so?
If I may know, the voice over that you played, when was it? Was it yesterday that he gave that interview?
Yes, please. It was yesterday.
Because I'm aware that after that he came here to the university and we sat down with him to discuss issues. And then we made it clear that the university doesn't have choked gutters as such. If in the course of the rains some silt had been washed from upstream into our gutters, then that is fine. But if we finish right now, I'm going to send you pictures of gutters this morning, UCC drains, that we haven't done anything about it after the rains. And the water in it, even, excuse me, if you were thirsty and you are pushed and they ask you to drink it, you will not refuse it. So we don't have choked gutters per se, but what happened was that the rains were excessive. We are talking about over 6 hours of torrential rain. And where the topography of UCC is such that most of the outlying communities, their waters pass through the university in order to get to the sea. So these things were, if the gutters were choked, how come that nobody has disilted any gutter, but all the waters are gone now?
Right. So what's apart? So you're saying that it is the topology of the university that is what made it susceptible to flooding, and not the fact that.
And two, the excessive nature of the rains. I am saying that we had consistent rains for more than 6 hours. And anywhere, if you have that amount of rain, you are definitely going to have some challenges. We are also aware that some of our drainages may be going forward. We may have to expand them. We'll look and we'll do some re-engineering so that they could take more water. But whatever it is, there's a limit to how much you can expand the drainage. So if it keeps raining like that, what we had yesterday, it is bound to happen at another time. But the good thing is that since that time, the waters have receded so fast. And if you were to come to UCC this morning, you wouldn't believe that it is even UCC that we are talking about.
Right. So you've said that you're going to try to re-engineer the drains to be able to take more water, but this is definitely bound to happen, especially if it rains this long. So pretty much what you're saying is that there's not much that can be done to avoid...
It's a natural thing. This
right.
is caused by nature. Natural disasters, you can only take certain measures to mitigate the impact or the effect, but you cannot eradicate it. You cannot stop God from pouring down his rains if he wants to. What you can do is to do something to mitigate, and that is some of the things we did, like asking our students to stay indoors and not to go out when we thought that the place was flooded. Those are some of the things you can do, and then expanding our drainage systems, which we have even done barely 2 years ago. We did some re-engineering. So this is something that there is a limit to what human beings can do about it, because it's a natural thing. But talking more about it, it looks like the whole emphasis is only on UCC. It is a flat thing. It is not only about UCC. It's the whole Cape Coast and most of the central region. And if you look at it critically, even UCC, we are better off, because in terms of casualties, there were no casualties. We did not have any properties destroyed, because most of the areas that got flooded are open areas that, as you can see on the screen, there are no buildings, these are just open areas. And then there are roads, but the roads, as we speak, are all clear.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. And following the recent floods across the country and the challenges that have come with that, the National Disaster Management Organization is facing. ASEPA is calling for clearing of foot soldiers from NADMO and the bringing in of qualified disaster management experts.